Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Arpit. I'm very new to booktubing. I watch a lot of booktube, and for over past few days, it's been pretty bad lately. I am having various mental breakdowns and mental health problems. I've been struggling with gender dysphoria and PTSD. So I really wanted to socialize, but I do not have any friends who are into books or into anime or video games. So I wanted to reach out to the people on the internet, which I love watching. I started reading books when I was in high school. When I was 15 years old, my first series that I ever read, the first book that I ever picked up was The Hunger Games. It's right there, and absolutely loved it. It captured it was a very new medium for me, and I really enjoyed those books. But after reading those books and a few other, I kind of fell out reading books. But now I've been getting back into the books, and it's been really fun. Thanks to so the main reason I've been getting back to books was getting back to reading more books is the audiobooks. Audiobooks are really immersive, and I enjoy reading a physical book with audiobook. It's very immersive, and also one author to kind of grateful for is Brenda Sanderson, who has written a lot of books. He writes a lot of books, and he every single time I read a book by Brenda Sanderson, which I have read like 7 or 8 books by him, and every single time it takes me out of a reading slump. It makes me excited to read more books by him, and more books in the fantasy genre, and just more books in general. I love reading so much now that I even bought a Kindle. I bought a Kindle last year for my birthday. My parents gifted it to me, and it's been really fun to read on this device. I noticed that I read a lot faster in here in Kindle, and so Kindle has been a fun way to read more books for me. And also I can read manga in there, which also looks pretty good. I'm still a very new reader. I'm discovering what kind of books I like, what kind of genres I'm into. I know that I love my fantasy, my high level fantasy, and just fantasy book in general. I have kind of read some books in sci-fi and in romance genre, and I also think that I will like mystery or horror. I haven't checked them out yet. I haven't checked any of them books out yet, but I'm hoping that I will like every single genre. So in Booktube, there's always a TBR video, a book haul video, a book haul video, a wrap up. So I kind of decided that instead of making all those videos, I'm gonna try to make all those videos into a one video. So let's get into the January wrap up of everything I read in the month of January. I'm a very new reader, so I read very slowly. I have discovered that in average I can read about 5 average length books in a month. It may go up and down, but it's mostly 5. Last month in January, I read 5 books. And my goal for the year is to read 73 books, which I randomly selected from a random number generator between 50 and 100, and 73 came, and I'm excited to reach that goal, but also wanna enjoy the books that I want to read. So the first book that I completed in January is called The 7.5 Deaths or the Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hugo. It's depending on which region you are in. I think US has a different name, and UK and other copies have a different name. So this one, I have the UK version, I think. In it's called. Here's it. I read it in Kindle, and it was recommended to me by. It wasn't recommended. Like, I watched a recommendation video by Books with Emily Fox, which is one of my favorite booktubers. I think that most of the books that I read tend to have similar opinions and criticisms on the books. We tend to have similar criticisms on the books. Ratings match a lot, so I love taking recommendations from Emily. This is the blend of like classic whodunit mystery style with a psychological sci-fi twist. It's a very intriguing and good concept. Captured my attention from the first chapter and held it till the last chapter. There were some lull points, but overall I enjoyed a lot. We follow a man who has amnesia, who is forgetting who he was, and he has been invited to this mansion in Blackheath, where he has to figure out who killed the Evelyn Hardcastle, whose parents are throwing a birthday party for her. So she dies 7 times, and he has to figure out in the 7 times who killed her. It's a really mind bending. It's a very fun book, and I really recommend it. I enjoyed it a lot. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. Really, really good book. Okay, so the next book I read, which was also on my Kindle, because I've been loving reading on Kindle, was The Fall novella by Ryan Cahill, which is the prequel novel to the Bound and the Broken series. I know it's a high fantasy series, self-published, which contains dragons. It has really high praises, but for me, this novella, I read it before the first book. I haven't read the first book. I will read it later, but this book was disappointing. This book was very disappointing to me. I thought that the novella was very repetitive. The character felt two-dimension, and I just wasn't immersed into the worlds. The dragons were cool, but wasn't like enjoying, and I wasn't like into the world as I thought I would be. I guess I had high expectation for the series, because highly rated by other like booktubers which I trust. So I would give this novella a 2 out of 5, and I'm still hoping that the first book is much better than prequel novella, and I will hope to read it later in the years. So the next book, again on the Kindle, I read was The Will of the Many, which by James Islington or Islington. So this book has been around on the YouTube. This book has been on the Booktube all over. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone is giving it 5 stars, and 5 stars. And yeah, I agree. I think this is a really good book. My favorite part of this book were how well it was written. The prose, you say, like I'm new to these terms, but the prose, well, how well it is written, how well every single action and things are described using using words and also like how tightly it's plotted in 3 parts, and like a big events happen every single part. Part 2 was kind of felt boring in the start, but overall this book was really good. You follow a person named Viz, who is an orphan which has been turned into a scholar who has to go to this academy where who has to go to this academy who has to go to this academy where various political factions are trying to control him. He has been tasked to undercover a secret of that academy, and the magic system was also cool. It was kind of complex, and I wasn't able to understand it all because the main character refuses to use the magic system. So it was kind of hard for me to understand like how will actually works, like and it's but they learn about it in academy, but it hasn't been fully like described yet. Yeah, it was a very good book, and I cannot wait for the second book in the series, The Hierarchy. And I need the second book now. Like, why did I start this book? I'm so, yeah, this book left a big gap in me. I want to fill that with second book so much. I read was The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. So I have never read a romance book. This was the first book that I have read, and it was getting really famous on the Booktube. Everybody was recommending, who reads romance was recommending this book. And yeah, I mean I like my romance and like fantasy as a side plot. I really enjoy it, so I guess that's why I really liked this, because of the time loop aspect, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was very a fun, like, turn your brain off and like fast to read romance books. I have read only one, but I do believe that most of like the wholesome romance books are really like easy to read and complete in like 1 or 2 sittings. One of the interesting thing that I picked up from this book was so the main character Clementine, she likes books, so she likes to draw like drawings or sketches inside the book. I know it might be blasphemous for some people, but I really like that too, and I've been started drawing or sketching on my books for some time, and I think it's a really good thing. Let me show you some of them. So I've been reading this book on and off. It's about The Body Keeps the Score, about like trauma. It's a very famous book. So I've been drawing on this book as slowly I'm reading it. Let me show you some of them. So this is one. This is Shinji losing his mind on as I was losing my mind on this book. Another one is so I watched Spirited Away. I rewatched Spirited Away recently, and I wanted to draw this scene which I cried to this scene again, and it brought tears to my eyes, so I wanted to capture it, so I drew this. And yeah, it looks really good, and it is really fun to draw on a book. I'm sorry if it feels wrong to some people, but I like it. So the next book that I read was J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. It's a classic. So I told you that I love fantasy. I am personally, I think I'm obliged to read the history of like fantasy, of which books came first, which books inspired other authors. So of course one of the most influential series is The Lord of the Rings, the whole Middle Earth books by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm a fan of The Lord of the Rings movies by Peter Jackson, but I have never read the original trilogy, and I have never read The Hobbit. So this was my first entry to The Lord of the Rings, to all the books, and this was exactly the book that I wanted out of this. It was exciting, cozy and fun adventure with some dwarves and some like I loved the narration of J.R.R. Tolkien, of how it feels like you are listening to a bedtime story and like a cozy campfire, and it was really fun and enjoyable, and I cannot wait to read more from this world. This was very fun. And I read the audiobook with done by Andy Serkis, who voices Gollum, and there's a Gollum chapter in this Hobbit, and my God, his voice is so good. I love his narration of the Hobbit, and I'm also gonna continue his narration in the other books. So yeah, Hobbit was a 4 out of 5 stars, and also the 7 Years Slip was also 4 out of 5 stars. On to the books. I just finished Words of Radiance. Here is it. This tome, this big book. It's so big. It took me around 10 days. I finished it right now. I stayed up all night to finish this this much chunk of book, and this was so good. Like Way of the... I finished in November, and in January and February I read this book. This is the second book, a sequel to the Stormlight Archive, The Way of the Kings being the first book. And without any spoilers, there are so many good moments in this book. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. The duel scene, and I think I still love Way of the Kings more. My main reason being that Way of the Kings was it felt more tense, it felt more engaging during the whole book, because I think it was because of the bridge runs, but in Words of Radiance it felt like we were building up to a climactic end, a big intense ending. So the first 300 pages, it kind of felt boring, especially the Shallan part. I love Shallan in this book more than in the first book, but she's still not my favorite character yet. Her backstory was interesting, but I didn't feel really connected to it as I felt with Kaladin's backstory in the first book. And this was obviously a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it way too much, and I cannot wait to read more of the series. Just got packages of books which I ordered a few days ago, and let's do a book haul. It's fun to watch book hauls. Book hauls are some of my favorite videos to watch from all the creators. So it's fun to see which books you have bought, or the new books which I'm interested in reading. So let's unbox some books. So I know what books this is. I have 3 books which I have to remove the pages from, stickers from. And let's see which book this is. I know which this book it is. So here it is. It's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. It's so this has been popular. This is a very popular book. Wanting to read this book for a long time, and I'm really excited. I think it's about video games and love. It's not a romance book, but I think it involves love. This is story of Sam and Sadie. It's not a romance, but it is about love, and I am excited to read it. So the cover is kind of damaged, but it's not something that I will replace it with. But yeah, it's a good looking cover and a good looking book. Add it to my TBR. Yay. So the next sets of book I bought is so I've been loving the Words of Radiance, as I said, far too much. So I go ahead and bought the last 2 books in the series, and so let's see it. So I have been what you'll say contemplating or stuck between which kind of book should I buy. A paper. So Stormlight is in. There are a lot of versions of Stormlight Archive. There's the UK version, which is separated between two parts. Here it is. There's also the one I showed, which is the mass market paperback. there's also a big paperback, and there's also a hardcover. So I went with mass market paperback because it was the one easiest to read, and I don't like the split into the two parts. So I bought the mass market paperback of Oathbringer and Rhythm of War, and yeah, let's see those books. Here they are. They're nicely packaged, I would say that. I'm so excited. So this is Oathbringer. Looks crisp, looks nice, really good. Oh, spoilers! Don't want to show the back. So yeah, it's in good quality, and I'm excited to read it. And so the fourth book in the Stormlight Archive is Rhythm of War. Here it is. It also looks good. It is in good quality, and I'm very excited to read more of Stormlight. I think it's one of my favorite series right now, like ever. I love this series so much. Yeah. Excited for the fifth book coming out, and I'm also excited to read other books by Ben Sanderson, which I have read Mistborn, which was good. So anyway, I really enjoyed talking about books with you guys. I don't know which book I am gonna read next, cause Oathbringer, cause Words of Radiance has left a big hole inside my heart, and I don't know what book should I pick up and read. I don't want to read the sequel just yet because I want to pan out, so read the fifth book as soon as it comes out, and but also remember what happens before it. Also, I'm a big mood reader, so I just choose whatever books that I really want to read right now. So this is all the books I have talked about. If you can see, this is kind of hard to pick up because it's heavy, because Stormlight is very heavy. Yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, if anybody watched. I really enjoyed talking about these books. Let's talk more in the comments. I really want to talk about like Stormlight, about no spoilers please, about all the books and like other things. If you like, what kind of video games you like, what kind of anime are you into, and all this other stuffs. And that's it. Bye bye. See you in the next video if I make one. Bye bye.